Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this series of discussions with experts on supply chain. And in the first discussion today, we have Sandeep Chatterjee, or I should say Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee, who is a PhD in supply chain. I mean, that's only one of the feathers of his cap. I mean, he's a renowned supply chain expert. He consults organizations. He attends a lot of guest lectures. I think, you also have set up a supply chain education uh, forum or institute, should I call it, for the furtherance of latest supply chain concepts. You are on the board of some prestigious IIMs. So, I mean, there's only one of the few things that I know about Sandeep. Maybe you can you can also just let us know a little bit more about your illustrious career before we go into the actual question of the day.
So thank you, Kirit, for inviting me. I think Kirit is a old friend and we know each other from the last 10, 12 years. We have worked together, we have discussed a lot. So again, I think we have covered everything. Only thing I've been with Deloitte for about 5 years. Before that, I was with KPMG and with Oracle. So supply chain is something what I'm very passionate about. So that way, if you look at it, there are a lot of forums in the technology field where information is available as an open source. But in supply chain, I found that a lot of these information is either priced very high or it's not accessible to everybody. So it's my humble attempt as part of that education initiative to at least make it accessible to everyone.
So that's
So
great, Sandeep. I think, and as part of this initiative itself, what we are going to discuss today. It's a very, I would say, abused word nowadays that you call everything a digital transformation.
absolutely,
And then now we are talking about digital transformation of the supply chain. So I
absolutely.
was also part of some, conferences and discussions where everybody has their own idea around what exactly is digital transformation of the supply chain. So I thought, let's try to put together perspectives for different people. And since you have seen so many industries and you have talked to so many heads of supply chain and also organizations, and because of your consulting exposure, uh, what I would request you to do is, give us a semblance of what exactly is digital transformation when applied to the supply chain. As I would understand it, it's probably introducing some new technology which is either improving the efficiency of the process or
Mhm.
bringing adding some value to it, whether it is by reducing cost, adding margin, or whatever. That would be my understanding. But let's hear it from you. And after that, I would also request you to share maybe a couple of actual use cases if you have,
Mhm. Yeah,
so that people understand it much better.
sure.
Over to you, Sandeep.
I think thank you again. What you rightly said that says that everything is a digital project or a supply chain digitalization. But if you look at it, there are two words here. There is something called digitization and digitalization. A lot of people just move things on the net and they say that it's a digital transformation. It's never the case. That is digitization. But the moment you transform your business, exactly we call it as a digitalization. So a lot of people, unfortunately, digitalization, people use both the terms interchangeably, not correct. So that is the first thing I wanted to see. Second thing is, again, as part of this, of course, we are using some new technology. There are newer ways of doing business because everybody is under margin pressure. And with this COVID, I think people were trying to reach out. So if I say I'm using drones, that is again for my last mile because last mile is a major problem in India and everywhere. 53% cost of an e-commerce firm is last mile. So if I have a technology, say a drone, which can handle this at a lower cost, I think we have achieved that in supply chain. Similarly, if I say a lot of people now have global supply chain. See what happened during COVID, everybody closed their border, but now supply chains were always spread over. And it's very easy to say that I'm outsourcing it, I'm giving it to somebody else. But that comes at a cost because you lose control, you lose coordination. So if you have a technology in place where you can track what is happening and act upon, see, tracking, if I say, I will just say digital, you are doing digitization. But if you are not able to act upon it, because if something has already happened and I was not able to take a corrective measure, I have not been able to transform myself. So I should know that these signals are coming, and before they have a catastrophic effect, I should be able to act before that. So these
So
are
the
some of
first
the,
thing,
yeah,
sorry, Sandeep. So first thing I understand is that just applying any technology to the process, in this case supply chain, is not digitalization, right? So
absolutely.
it should either add some value, or it should improve some part of the efficiency of the process. That's what you are saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
And then if I look at my supply chain, see, supply chain, it looks from your purchasing to the end customer after sales service. And a lot of people try to do a big bang approach, which is never recommended because it's very difficult to define an ROI for any of these transformation projects. One thing which COVID has done to us, a good thing, is CFOs are not asking for ROI now. They're asking for an EVA, economic value added. That is the new norm. So you really don't have to say this much I have spent, because it's sometimes very difficult to quantify the benefits which you have. So net, if I look at a supply chain function, the lowest hanging fruits or wherever it has the maximum impact is in a customer facing application. Now, if I can give a lot of these access to my customer who can actually choose and the product, and then it comes to my manufacturing, that way I can, because a lot of people order over phone, a lot of people send me an email, because I have typically seen is they will send you an email and then they will call you to ask you whether you have received that email. So you are using technology, but this is not transformation. So that way, I think customer facing, if the customer is able to do a lot of these things and he can interact digitally with the, he knows that this is being manufactured there. In fact, a classic example I remember, there's a company called Stonyfield in UK. Now
Mhm.
they are into dairy products. Now the way, I think 30, 40 years ago, the way we all grew up, we used to have these dairy farms and the cow used to get milked, and then we used to get, and then what happened is Dr. Kurian, the Operation Flood happened and we had packaged milk, and now we have the spurious milk and all these problems. So what this company has given, that it gives you a visibility. You can actually see the cow being milked, it being and it's actually coming to you. I think that is the ultimate in customer experience, and the customer is willing to pay a premium for it. See, digital transformation is fine, but if it affects your margins in the long term, if it doesn't help you, it doesn't make you profitable, I think it should not, you should not go for it. Because I know a company, a group company which has 13 companies, and they were doing their financial consolidation on Excel. So then there was one software firm which went there and said that, why don't you use this product? They looked at it and they said, no, I think if I look at my ROI, I am fine with an Excel sheet. As long as my auditors are happy, I'm fine. So as you rightly said, just having a new technology is not digital transformation. What value it adds, that's very, very important for us to understand.
But the example that you gave is very interesting. That till now we used to put customer experience as something as maybe just for the front end of, or the first gate that the customer reaches in interacting with our organization. So it was more seen as a CRM objective. But you are saying that companies are giving access or visibility to their supply chain uh, to the customer, so that maybe it's a matter of increasing the trust, and also nowadays there's a lot of talk around ESG. So maybe the
Yes.
customers can also actually see that the product that they're buying is being made sustainably, and it's not affecting the environment so much. So I mean that's actually a new perspective that you've given. But in this case, what would be, it's not so easy to give that visibility. We are still struggling to give visibility to our internal customers in the supply chain.
Mhm.
And now we are saying that we have to start giving visibility to our external customers also. So what kind of technology or processes would you suggest for that?
See, I understand because a lot of times our internal departments actually are loggerheads because a classic example, you also know that production and sales always fight over the numbers. Though we have ERP, we have everything, but that's always a problem. But again, I think one fundamental thing we have to understand that we need to trust people. If we don't have that element of trust, we can use any technology, we can use blockchain or whatever you say. But if you really cannot trust, because some time ago, people had blockchain, and because blockchain was in a nascent state, people thought the technology was bad. But understand that how the blockchain evolved, they wanted to give a trust that nobody can actually change your data and you have a single source of truth. Now blockchain has come in a new avatar. Now you have standard. It's like the old internet when it took us 30 minutes to send an email. So initial blockchain was like that. But I
Mhm.
think blockchain is a good. In fact, pharma companies are using this because we have a problem of this spurious medicines in the market. I think that way blockchain has been able to do a lot of these. Similarly, diamond. See, all these I'm talking about. Blockchain is not a very inexpensive technique. It's still a little expensive, and a diamond manufacturer can actually afford it, so they can trace it to them because that's a high margin business. But for a small and medium enterprises, I think if there are a lot of these open source, again, people can always doubt the efficacy of the open source, but I think we have a lot of cybersecurity issues will be there, will always will be there, and now people moving things on the net. The problem is, I believe that you will always have smarter people. So that's why I think that way we are seeing blockchain is a promising technology, and AI again, I feel that it's still in a very nascent state because it needs a history, it needs training the model before it can actually make a decision.
So, Sandeep, see, on one end, you are talking about blockchain, AI, which are, the in the forefront of technology.
Yeah.
But just 5 minutes back, you also spoke about Excel to an
Yeah.
ERP.
Yes.
So now, and this is the truth that we'll keep on finding, different customers who are in the different stage of maturity as far as IT penetration or technology penetration is there in their organization. So is moving from Excel to ERP, which is also happening nowadays,
Hmm.
this same level of digital transformation as moving from, let's say, an advanced analytic system to an AI based analytic system. Would you say both are on the same same footsteps, or would you say at least the journey has to start somewhere? So even the guy who is moving from Excel to ERP is actually doing digital transformation.
So Excel to ERP, I will not say digital. There's no transformation. Only thing is you were used to doing these tasks at 10 different tasks this way. Now with ERP, you are doing it in 3, 4 clicks, from 10 clicks to 4 clicks. So that is not a transformation because it's only reduces your effort. It really doesn't add any value to your business process, or you are not doing business in a different way. For example, a classic example, earlier we always only had the in-store thing, and people were very didn't want to buy a garment over the net. But now you have this technology where you can try it virtually and you can go and pick up at the store. This is transformation. But the first thing is, maybe I will call it as a digitization. You are moving, it's from 10 clicks to 4 clicks. That's not a transformation, if you ask me.
Okay. So, moving ahead, if we talk about some, actual, uh, use cases. So you did
Hmm.
talk about customer experience into visibility of the supply chain. That is one.
Hmm.
Uh, Give us few more examples here, and you could choose either from procurement or manufacturing also, because that also encompasses supply chain.
Okay.
To
Okay.
help understand some of those use cases, because uh, I've seen that the supply chain heads are looking for actual use cases. They you talk to them about AI, which is fine. AI is it's a very broad term, but they say that what benefit will I get from my process if I implement AI into that? So just give us, give us some examples, and then how should we uh, go about selecting those use cases within our organization?
Sure. I think let's look at Mondelez. Their product Cadbury's. If you look at the typically we used to pick up from stores, then we had the e-commerce way. Now, if you visit the Geo building in Mumbai, you will there is a machine where you can actually 3D print a Cadbury. So that's a
Really?
transformation. Yes. So I think that is amazing. They have taken 3D manufacturing to 3D printing to that level that you just have to choose the flavors and whatever you want, and it will print it for you. I think this is transformation. It's a very easy to use, but for the customer, it's a wow thing that I can specify it. I want it now. I just have to go to the kiosk, just input the values, and it will print it for me. This is, I think, Mondelez had taken it to the next level of the very classic case, which I have seen, and in fact, I was really very impressed with these initiative. And
But these are okay. These are very impressive, like you said. But uh, how do you take it to the masses? Maybe it's very good as a technology demonstrator,
okay.
but when you come to your actual day-to-day operations, you
Mhm.
know, uh, they have to be pervasive across the organization. Is what I would
Absolutely,
presume.
absolutely. I think the best way, what if I look at a mass, this is again, it's a not a mass thing because not everybody in our country may be able to afford a very expensive chocolate. I understand that, but if I look at the logistics function, that is where I think a lot of transformation has happened because availability of trucks, availability of vehicles, where it is stuck, what are the opportunities for a cross docking if there is any, what kind of trucks, because typically you know that the way companies used to operate, that they used to call in the morning that send me 10 trucks, but thing is that is not going to work anymore. So that way if we have a uh, track and trace a portal kind of a thing where everything can be monitored, and before something goes wrong I should be able to act, because now with the e-way bill and trucks are moving faster. If a truck is actually had gone undergone a breakdown, I know there is a problem. I will be able to handle it. Similarly, if I say for the maintenance function, most of these earth moving equipments, they need a lot of maintenance. But it's not possible for me to go and check every machine. So you have a sensor driven thing where you carry data and you look at some of these parameters and immediately you can say that, yes, this machine needs maintenance immediately. Similarly, for aircraft manufacturing, if I have to do a remote maintenance, aircraft maintenance engineers are very less in number and they are very expensive. So you can do it remotely using a combination of AR, VR. So again, this I will say all these technology are still not affordable for the small and medium enterprises, but the prices still have to. At least we are talking about it because what happened to 3D printing? There were three companies which were having the patent.
Mhm.
2016, the patents went off. So that's why it's still now affordable. In fact, you can get a 3D printer at as low as 20, 30,000 rupees. There's a company called 3Ding in Chennai, and they have done a reverse engineering, and you can get all these 3D printers at 20,000, 30,000 rupees.
Okay, that's you're right that technology is becoming more and more affordable, but the sad truth is that even for the smaller companies, if they have to stay in the game, they have to invest, and uh, doesn't
I
have
think
to be.
ONDC is a that open network digital network which the government, which Nandan Nilekarani's team is, they are building it. that holds a lot of promise because now that Amazon, Flipkart, all the monopoly will go away. Now you can have a set of buyers and sellers. So I think that's a very, it's a move directed towards the small and medium enterprise. They will be now able to sell it via the net. So that's a very promising thing, what we are looking forward to.
So we talked about technology that adds value. We talked about some use cases which are very impressive, and then we also talked about availability of the technology to the broader ecosystem, so that everybody benefits. And I think that that is the right thing also, because just like we talked about blockchain, so unless every party is on the blockchain, it's actually of no use. If
Absolutely.
Right. So I think these kind of open source systems would enable the MSMEs and the smaller organizations to also become competitive if
Yes.
they start using these. But again, here, they would still need talent. One thing I've seen, or what is being talked about in most of the forums, is that okay, I know what technology to use, I know what use case, but I don't have the talent in house, and talent outside is also not that easy to get. So just looping back to your initiative of supply chain education, if we focus on supply chain, what are the key skills that would be required in the coming future to enable this digital transformation?
First and foremost, if I look at any of these digital transformation, there are three kinds of people which we usually need. First is the domain experts who really understand the supply chain domain very well. Because a lot of cases I have seen that they're very good data scientists. I have no problem with that, and with all due respect. But they don't understand supply chain. It's very difficult for a data scientist to actually make a decision on supply chain if he has no background. The first is the fundamentals don't change. So that thing, I think, first thing which we have to look at. Second thing, a lot of people feel that because I'm in supply chain, I have to stay away from technology. I don't say you should learn to code, not needed. But you should know where to use what technology, because the application is more important than knowing the technology. I think this is the second aspect, which is very, very important. And third thing is theory is okay, but a lot of time I have seen that people have a very sound theoretical knowledge, but because they lack the exposure. In fact, if people make the effort of visiting a retail outlet and just observe, I think that gives a lot of perspective. And even if you go to a company and tell that I want to do this for free, nobody will say no to you. I think that is one way. I think some of our generation, that's how we grew up and we gained a lot of insight. So these things actually don't change. But having said that, you don't have to be a data scientist to do a digital transformation, but appreciating technology is very, very important.
So again, very important to say that self-learning would enable us to come up to that level that we can, take up some projects on our own, and we don't need some technology expert to come and help us, start this exercise at least.
Absolutely. And to be very honest, see, if I know it, let's be very honest about it. If I am looking at a provider, service provider, he or she will also have their own margin built in, right? So that's why if I look at it, if I have it within, if I learn it on my own, I'll be able to appreciate it much better.
I understand. So I think we are coming to the end of our allotted time, and I will not keep you because I know you are a very busy person. Any closing thoughts on uh, on what we spoke about today, and then after that I will leave it to the audience to if they have any questions, they can please raise their hand and ask the question to Sandeep directly.
I think first and foremost, I will say, I'll just give a very typical example which I remember. There were three monkeys who were sitting in a branch, and one of them decided to jump. And when I ask my audience how many monkeys are there, a lot of people say two, three, but that monkey decided, he did not. So So there are still three monkeys there. So thing is, do it. That's okay. We all fail, but it's important that just theory and all that. It's always important to take the plunge, fail fast and get up, because failures will be there. There's no problem with that. The thing is, you just have to do it. That's what I will say.
Okay, I think that's the most important message, that act, right? So
Yes,
take some, have some action, and then let the course itself decide whether you need any ongoing iterations to. I won't say that people fail. It's just that you iterate and you move
absolutely.
on to
See,
a.
it's a fail fast, like design thinking. You fail fast. You create a prototype. You fail fast. You get up. You correct, course correct it. That's how it.
Right, that's right. Any questions for Sandeep? Okay, so I think that was great, Sandeep. This short conversation, at least we got a hang of how you see digital transformation at, and then most importantly, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's not a big word. It's not a buzzword. Everybody should start at whatever level they are, implementing technology that will add value as well as bring some efficiency to the process. Again, thank you so much. I hope to keep on speaking to you at regular intervals, so that whatever new perspectives you get from your experiences, we are able to share it across with our wider audience. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank
Yeah,
you for your
thank you.
time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.